How y'all doing? Tom back here again, and good news, the Go videos will return starting next week. Yay! I have about nine of them ready to go right now, and my hope is that by the time this recording, next Tuesday comes around, I want 16 ready. So that way, on my normal upload days, aka Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, you should get uninterrupted on those days 4 straight weeks of Go videos that range from, again, touching small subjects like specific packages to one of them I'm going to try to do another like kind of smaller project based one. That's probably a little less memey than the hell, build a REST API without using any external packages thing. Maybe something a little more useful than that. So this video, I wanted to it's kind of expired from the last video. Was it the last video? Yeah, the video I made about my my arrangement, my negotiation discussion that fell through, and I thought about, well, maybe as inexperienced as I am about having kind of more like interpersonal or interbusiness like communications and relationships, I thought I would try to articulate my thoughts about certain things as I have understood them so far. And the one I wanted to touch on this video is the concept of value in a negotiation. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and I'm going to be using a little different format, kind of inspired by another channel that I watch sometimes, a dude named Devin Nash, that talks about just the going-ons and like the streaming and like gaming like ecosystem. And he kind of does this thing, welcome to my TED Talk kind of thing, where he just kind of talks about what he knows and what he thinks about something while doing it on a notepad. But we're replacing the notepad with a GitLab snippet that I'm going to link a description of after the video is posted. All right. So with that said, let's get to talking, shall we? We had the GitLab snippet. This is going to be a markdown file, in case you're wondering. So we have the title here, the concept of value and negotiation. Okay. So before we can really discuss what forms of value can be exchanged or like negotiated to be exchanged, first I believe we should define, at least within this context, what is value. So like we can't really talk about value if we don't understand what it is. So to me, and by all means I'm no expert, so take everything that I'm about to say with a grain of salt. Value is, as simply as I can put it, anything that one party has that the other party has interest in. Okay, for whatever reason. So a good example of this would be, so you may have people or known people that maybe when they were in like grade school or something, maybe sometimes they would bring in something to sell, even though they were technically not allowed to, whether it be like soda, candy, something like that. This in itself is a good example, right? So we have two parties. We have the person bringing in the thing they're not supposed to bring in, but the other kids probably want. I'll use the example of candy. We have two parties here. We have the person that has the candy, and the other person has something. Most likely it's money. And in this case, the kid that has the candy is the thing of value that the other kid wants. Because candy's delicious and they want to consume it instead of listening to probably what their boring ass classes are going on. And then the other kid that wants the candy has something of value that the other person wants, which is just probably use it as money. $1, quarter, something, however much it is. So that's a good example of like what this is talking about. Another good example, which is technically related to the my failed discussion, was something that's kind of less tangible, which would be something relating to the other party's maybe status, I guess is the way to put it. So, for example, and I guess the way to put it is maybe the other person has some much larger, has like a large audience, right? Has some kind of large online reach, and you want to leverage their reach to have something of yours, a message, something you want to be able to get seen in front of more eyes. You want them to leverage it to get your thing out in front of their audience. That's another form of value that can be leveraged, right? Now I just kind of already went over this. So then, if we understand what value is, then the next comes the question of what forms does value take, right? And we're going to do this little bolded list thing here. So if we're kind of referencing some of the examples I already gave, this could be simple. The thing that's immediately going to enter in anybody's mind when they think about this is probably just money, right? That's probably one of the more stable forms of value, because that's another concept we're going to get into later in this discussion, is the concept of like how stable is that form of value, because depending on the two party, like the context of the entire exchange, the entire discussion, one form of value may have less or more perceived value by the other party than another circumstance. If that doesn't make any sense, I'll get into it when we get to it. So what's another form of value that will take place in negotiation? Well, something tangible, like tangible property. So in my example, it was like candy, a product, a candy product, candy product, something like that. Then we have intangible value. Yeah, I first just said intangible. So this would be something like status, online reach. There's probably better terms to describe what I'm describing. I'm just kind of thinking of this off the top of my head. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And then another thing that has value is time. Now, I will say, in a note to the side here about time, is usually grossly undervalued by one or all parties. And what do I mean by that? That this is usually grossly undervalued. Oftentimes, when you see people offer to do something for someone, they will essentially be accepting very little value in exchange for their time. And I am someone personally who's trying to shift their mindset into placing much more kind of a greater sense of urgency when it comes to how valuable your time is, because there's kind of a main difference between most of these other forms of value, and that is they're replaceable, or they're renewable, right? I can just get more money. I can just go get more candy, right? I can maybe find someone else that has something like this, or get my own. Time, however, you don't get back, okay? The however long you're going to spend watching this video, thank you very much, by the way, for deciding to spend your valuable time watching this video and having this discussion with me. You don't get it back, right? This however long this video is going to be, 15, 20 minutes, or whatever, it's gone. You're not getting it back. So that's something to keep in mind in the future when you're kind of really thinking about how much do you want to value your time. Keep in mind that time is not renewable. When your time is gone, it's gone. Yeah. So that's yeah, okay. That's probably the only other really forms I can think off the top of my head. Oh, well, I guess another form would be so there's tangible property, tangible time. I guess another form of value would be skills. I guess is another way to put it. So like if somebody, which this would kind of fall into the same category as tangible or intangible, I guess technically. But a common thing to have done is say, hey, I see you need this particular service done. You need some kind of coding problem help with, or something automated that you do manually. If I do that for you, I would like you to do this for me. Maybe the person that you're talking to this with is, um, has a much stronger visual design sense than you, and it's like, okay, I'll help you with your technical side, and you can give to me in return, maybe some kind of graphic made that you want done for whatever reason. That's another form of exchange of value happening. So we have an understanding what value is. We have some examples of what forms value takes. Now, there's this value has, I guess another way to put it is, there's like the actual value, which is kind of hard to deduce, and then there's a concept called perceived value, I guess is the way to put it. So I guess there's I'll call it offered value, versus perceived. How do you say it? Perceived? I probably spelled that wrong. Perceived value. I guess something like that. So what is offered versus perceived value? An offered value would be if you're selling a product, okay, and let's say, since I'm from like the web, mostly from like the web dev kind of area, it's like a SaaS product. Let's say I'm offering you a SaaS product, and the offered value of it is $100 a year for something, right? Now that's the offered value. So it's an offered value is the value, I guess is the value perceived, or is the value set by the owner of the value, I guess is the way to put it. Whereas perceived value is the value set by the party that desires that form of value, I guess is the way to put it. It's kind of hard. I'm trying to think. It's kind of hard for me to try to like articulate this part. Whoops, that's hard for you to see this because my fat face is in the way. Go down. Okay, there we go. So again, offered value would be like a SaaS product that has, like, you say, well, it's $100 a year for X, Y, and Z features or something. Now, perceived value is someone looking at that and going, do I think that's actually worth $100? This is perceived value. And oftentimes, the perceived value is kind of what's more important. Now, you can do all kinds of things to try to make the perceived value of whatever it is that you're offering higher. But ultimately, if you're offering something at a set amount of money or something, whatever form of value that you're offering it in, whatever form of value you're offering it in, and the other party does not agree with your assessment of that amount of value, they're not going to do business with you, right? They're not going to do this exchange with you. If I'm offering a SaaS product for $100 a year, and you look at that and go, I don't think this shit's worth $100 a year, then I'll go buy it, right? On the other flip of the coin, I may offer up something kind of cheap, maybe like $50, and then someone looks at it and goes, holy shit, that's $50 a year, that's a steal, and they do it like immediately without a second thought. That's another outcome of that, right? Now, the thing about perceived value is very, in all caps, very dependent on the context of the discussion. Very, extremely dependent on it. And even something stable like money, this is different. Now that seems like I mentioned this before, and this may seem weird. But if you may be already kind of aware of this as you've gone through life, right? And the amount of money that you would typically be exposed to, while you earn it, has changed. I guess the perceived value of a certain amount of money to you has changed. Most likely, it is. I can certainly identify with this. So, for an example, would be like when I was a kid. If you handed me $100, I probably would have flipped my shit. Like, holy God, $100, that's so much money. I mean, because to me, that is a lot of money as a kid. I'm lucky if I would have had like $20 or something. Versus like now, if you hand me $100, I'd be like, okay, well, that's gonna buy like a week or two's worth of groceries. Like whoop de fucking do. It's not a huge deal now. The more equivalent in my case, or someone's case that maybe has to handle larger sums of money, would be like if you handed them like 10 grand, then that would be the equivalent of the kid going like, well, $100. I'd be like, holy shit, 10 grand, that's enough for like 4 months worth of living expenses. It depends so much on the context of who both parties are, what the form of value is that's being exchanged, what's the situation of each person in relation to that form of value. It's all kinds of stuff. So it's very hard to really properly assess what kind of value something has until you just kind of bring it up in the conversation. Something I just noticed I misspelled. I spelled perceived 2 different ways there. Yay! You can erase me on that letter because I'm not changing it. So an example of how I've leveraged this myself in a recent arrangement was, if you're not aware, link down in the description below, I offer one-on-one mentoring sessions. Well, I've had a few people interested, and one of them, when they were interested, they reached out to me after they had submitted the form and let me know that, hey, what I was asking for was kind of outside their price range right now. And that they asked if I would be willing to talk about some alternative ways to match the value that I was seeking from that mentoring session. I said, sure. What did you have in mind? And they made the case that they had 2 forms of intangible value that they could offer me. One was technically it was 2. It was 2 forms of intangible value, and then some aspect of his time. And the intangible form of value was that they had relationship with a few people that they said that would possibly be of interest to me if they could establish a communication between us. And I agreed. The parties that the person that they were referring to, I was like, yeah, if you can get me set up with a dialogue with them, that actually would be pretty cool. Because there's kind of a potential amount of value there, right? Maybe that's something else I should have mentioned on here, but I'm just gonna talk about this now. Is sometimes things have not a set amount of value, but a possibility, like a range of value. This is definitely the case when it comes to like doing things for exposure. which is why I'm kind of weary about doing things for exposure. It really depends on, again, the very context dependent kind of form of value. Is you know, I can do something for exposure for somebody, and even after I've been exposed to, you know, their followers, their audience, whatever, it doesn't really convert into anything of benefit to me, right? So in the case of the last video about the whole the guest creator deal thing, the potential value that I get is some amount of conversion from this other creator's audience to becoming also a member of my audience. Now, there's a huge range there. I may do some. I may do this. I may have gone through with this arrangement, right? And got a huge amount of value from it. Like I double, triple, you know, whatever, quintuple my audience size, which had been, you know, insane. But then I could do it and then basically have almost an insignificant amount of conversion, and you know, didn't really end up getting much out of it. So that's something else to keep in mind when looking at what's being offered in a discussion. Is the thing that they're offering, does it have kind of a static amount of value, or does it have a potential? Does it have a range? Much like this connection did. And I'm more keen to take kind of like one-on-one direct connections than I am just like, boom, I'll expose you to my audience kind of thing. Because the whole you're being exposed to their audience thing, you may not have a lot of control over that. Whereas a one-on-one discussion with somebody, I think you kind of have more control in terms of how well that will actually, like, what will come out of that, if anything can come out of it. It's kind of it's almost like, you can almost call it like gambling. I kind of view it as gambling, honestly, because it's like gambling in the sense of you may get something great out of it, you may get fucked and you don't get anything out of it. You know, it's take it as an option at your discretion. Well, anyway, in between the one-on-one connection that the dude could offer, and him agreeing to essentially kind of promote me on certain communities that he was a part of that were relevant to my content, I agree. I was like, you know, I kind of agreed that we would do that in lieu of some of the payment, and we reached a compromise, and I was able to mentor him, give him a lot of helpful information that he needed, and he was able to both connect me to somebody that may yield in itself other opportunities, and also started to promote my channel in certain little places to help grow my audience. You know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. We both got something great out of it. You know, there you go. So I think that's all really what to talk about here. This was kind of a ranty video. It was just like, these are a lot of thoughts I've had swirling around in my head for a while about this type of, I guess, this element of negotiating an exchange with somebody, whether we're talking about just you negotiating with some other regular person, or if you more kind of a B2B, business to business type thing. And I just kind of wanted to just brain dump my thoughts to you all. So to quote Devin Nash, that's my TED Talk. Thank you for coming. And now we're going to go back over here. So I hope you all enjoyed that. If it was a little all over the place, I guess it was probably doomed to be all over the place, because it was kind of just a brain dump, and I just wanted to kind of talk about it and get my thoughts out there. If you like this type of stuff, be sure to leave me a comment down below to let me know that, you know, do you find this kind of discussion interesting? Get your noggin jogging a little bit. Again, like I mentioned at the start, Go videos are returning next week, and you're gonna get a big dump of those. While those are airing, if I have another video like this to throw up, it'll go up on the days that I would stream, which would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's all I got for y'all today. Y'all come on back now, and I'll see you next time.